Every Nigerian must be instrumental to the growth and development of our nation through the use of innovative energy and idea to lead and initiate policies that will sustain the economy and enhance good governance. With all the financial turmoil facing the world, it has become pertinent for exchange of new ideas that will enhance good governance. Please subscribe to our channels, listen to our messages and engage with us. With your support, we can transform the lives of all Nigerians. Welcome to the Season 2 of the NESG Radio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the NESG Radio. My name is Ese Igbomoba, and I will be hosting Dr. Mariah Saleh on the NESG Radio today. She's a Technical Director, Reproductive, Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health at the Chemonics International. Dr. Saleh is also the thematic lead of the Public Health Policy Commission at the NESG Radio. Welcome, Dr. Saleh.
Thank you, Ese. It's nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. We'll just get right to it. So, how do you, in your professional life, break the bias concerning gender relations?
All right, thanks, Ese. I gave a similar talk recently, and I had to ask myself, what exactly is bias? Because this year's theme for International Women's Day was break the bias. And in exploring that, I realized that there's a difference between bias and discrimination. So bias is generally an attitude that seeps in from, the social space and then affects the way people interact in the workplace. While discrimination is actually breaking a law or a legislation. So what are those attitudes that I've experienced, based on my gender? I can give you a few examples. In several situations, I would go into a meeting with a male colleague. I'm senior to him. He's more likely to be asked to sit at the table, and then I'll be offered a seat, somewhere at the back. It's much less now, but, much earlier in my career, I experienced that quite a bit. I've also been asked, when I was traveling to the northern part of the country, I was asked to request a more mature man accompany me to meet stakeholders. Now, I could understand the director's reasoning for that, in that he understands how women are perceived in the northern part of the country. But we need to be able to challenge those biases. If they see a woman once, the second time, it will not be the first time they see her. But I had to travel with a man who then practically took credit for all the work I had done before then. And that was the last time that happened. The next time, I didn't allow it to happen again. In my previous life, I was a clinician. And then while I was doing a surgery posting as an intern, another example I'm giving you now, a senior colleague was handing out snacks during the meeting, a weekly meeting. And he looked at me and he asked me why I was watching him, a man, distribute snacks during the meeting. Now, before that time, he had not told me he was distributing snacks. If it was a matter of seniority, I definitely would have offered to help him. But then he added, as a woman. So based on that, I refused to join him to distribute the snacks, because then he's not talking to me as a professional anymore. And that was the last time that happened. So in my opinion, once you identify that someone's bias has creeped in to the workplace in the way they are interacting with you as a woman, you need to challenge it by refusing to or withdrawing permission for them to treat you in that way. So that for me is the way I do it. Every time it comes up, I need to, think about it, and then I stop it right there in its tracks. And in the future, nobody treats me in that way again.
Thank you so much for your response. I think a lot of women can relate to a lot of the instances that you mentioned. So I'm sure in a lot of these instances, it was a gradual process. So you've gone from middle management to upper management, and now you're in upper management. But historically, a lot more women in middle management than they are in upper management. And I'm sure this is why most of these instances are so prevalent as well. So, but how can we mitigate this and make sure that there are more women in high-level positions so that when they do see women in those positions, it's not a foreign thing and they don't have these same experiences that you've had?
So I think the first thing is an organization needs to be conscious of these things because there are a variety of reasons. It could be from within the organization, it could be from, the context from which they are functioning in, kind of the environment. So, but they need to take that lens, a gendered lens, look at their recruitment policies, their retention policies, what are the practices. They need to also understand what is happening in the wider society. For instance, it could be that in the past, women were not as well educated as men, therefore not rising up through the ranks in management. And then now you have middle management. Maybe there was an improvement in the past. In that case, they would need to focus more on improving retention, improving the capacity of their staff. And it could be all staff. It could be uniform for all. It's just that, they brought a consciousness to it. They could also, take a decision to hire a woman who could inspire the other women in middle management so that, as time goes on, women mature and then they can take up these higher level positions. In other cases, it could just be that traditional views are still prevalent in the workplace. They may have a policy against discrimination, but, sometimes people just make assumptions about women and the fact that they would want to, go into senior management. They assume women are not very ambitious. In the past, I was having an informal discussion with the CEO and he admitted he didn't like taking on married women. And, instantly, my hackles went up like, why not? He said, well, when, they are newly married, they take a long time off to get married for the wedding and then, the honeymoon period. And then shortly after that, they take time off again for maternity. When their child is ill, they go off. For me, that's a bias right there. He hasn't even given them the opportunity to function as married people. He just brought his biases from wherever and just determined that, okay, I don't really want to hire women. And that's definitely going to affect the number of women you see in that organization. And it was true. There were hardly any directors or otherwise in that organization. So directly to the organizations, I would say, make allowances for women. They're actually serving a biological function and they deserve a place in the office, in the workplace. They are serving a key function and we need to design the workplace to accommodate this. And they don't need to actually stop working for this to happen. We already know that in societies where women's labor goes unpaid, the society suffers for it. Poverty rates are higher. What we need to do is to be more supportive, both to the men and the women, and make them feel welcome when they come back without necessarily passing on the feeling that the company is suffering or that it's a privilege or they're doing them a favor.
Thank you, Dr. Saleh, for your response. I completely agree with you. You mentioned an instance where a colleague of yours took a majority of the credit when you went out for work. So I was just curious, do you think women are giving credit in the same way their male counterparts are?
Usually not. Women usually have to work a lot harder to receive the credit that they deserve. Again, there could be a variety of reasons. It could be, some intrinsic factors from within the women. It could be with their upbringing from a young age or just, naturally the way women are. But women tend not to speak up, tend to doubt themselves more, tend to be more of perfectionists and are more likely to hand over their ideas to a man to present. Possibly, because men are viewed as being more confident. It could also be linked to biases. For example, women working in a group with a man, just automatically, the man is viewed as being more intelligent or more hardworking, and they are more likely to receive the credit. We know that has been changing over time. However, it's changing too slowly.
Thank you again, Doctor, for all your comments.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was also a pleasure being here.
Do you have any last words or comment that you'd like to give to us today?
I just want to end by saying to all women out there, don't let anyone make you feel you are less valuable just because you are female. If you've put in the work, you need to speak up. You need to take credit for your work because you deserve a seat at the table.
Thank you again, Doctor, for all your inputs in this segment. And thank everyone so much for listening. For more episodes, please visit www.nesgroup.org/podcasts. Thank you.